Testing. Are we alive? Hello? Hi. Yeah, it's been a while since we've been here, isn't it? Yeah. Do you like the fancy new overlay? That's Riot's doing. Hello! Jesus, so many people. I forget that, like, I forget that at least roughly around 100 or more people show up to these things, so that's nice. Hello! How's everyone doing? It's been kind of wild lately, hasn't it? Lots of things have happened. Thank you all. Yeah, 200k! That's, it's kind of wild. Also, yeah, if anyone has any issues with, like, sound or anything, please tell me. I can do adjustments. I haven't done this in forever, so things might be out of whack, or... Thank you. Alright, let me switch over to my main screen here, because I have some nice little slideshow of all this lovely artwork that people have made based on stuff that I've been doing. All of their Twitter handles will be scrolling along the bottom of the screen for every single person who drew stuff. For everything, please check all of them out. They did amazing work. And I just want to show it off because seeing so it's like, oh, it's lovely. So yeah, again, all the handles that will be at the bottom, please look at all their Twitter profiles and check them out. Yeah, obviously, big elephant in the room is a crying owl. Kind of wild that's the case now, isn't it? So yeah, this is gonna be very casual. Just gonna answer questions, talk, explore a little bit about what I'm gonna do going forward. There's in things I've got coming up soon. Yes, all these names scrolling along the bottom. Please go check them all out. They're all great. Yeah, so how do I recap what's happened since I last did one of these things? Yeah, lots of music got released. I worked with Lackadaisy. I got to work with a lot of very talented vocalists. Obviously, Just Look My Way was a thing. And now we're here. The Hazbin exists. That's even weirder to think about after all this time. Yeah, a lot's going on, and there's a lot to explain about how that all came about, because it's very difficult to explain how much went into it, and there's things that obvious people might not know about how this all works. But yeah, and then apart from that, also I've finalized getting a house. Bean is doing fine. She was misbehaving earlier because she had some shed stuck, and I had to try and get it off, and she didn't like it. But that's how she is. Bean is my leopard gecko, Daria. She's a silly creature, but that's why we like her. She's giving me evils right now because I had to hold her still, and she doesn't like that. Yeah? Okay, so, yeah, questions, babble, whatever it might be. Let's see what we've got. Start with Lumity. How did it feel when you found out when Viv's Pop made Just Look My Way can on her channel? Well, that was a whole collaborative process. And it actually started a lot earlier than most people realize. It happened a long time ago. I can't remember the exact date, but it was well more than a year ago, I had essentially woke up one day, and, you know, checking through Twitter and stuff, and then suddenly in my personal messages there was a message from VivzyPop, and I was like, is this a troll? Is this not real? And I looked it up, and she basically just said, you know, I've heard some of the stuff you've been doing and it sounds great. Would you be interested in licensing some of your music to use in the show in some way? And I said yes, because I would have been stupid not to. Obviously, a lot, like, things happen since then, because obviously they're busy making the actual show and doing like a bunch of other stuff. And eventually it got round to it, and I was told we want to use Just Look My Way as part of like a story beat in the show. We want to make like a music video out of it. And we talked back and forth a bit about how that was going to work, about if changes need to be made and everything like that. And eventually got into more personal contact outside of Twitter, where, you know, they nailed down the plan about how they wanted to use the song. So I was given the context of essentially what it was for. So I was told about the Asmodean crystal that features in the music video. I was told about minor things like that for context, and then we essentially just went back and forth about things like how it needs to change to fit into what they wanted to do, which also included, like, you know, shortening the song down to be a little bit more decently paced, which I agreed with, changing some of the lyrics to better reflect the stuff they wanted to put in the music video itself. You know, because when I first wrote the original back in 2021, I was doing it from more of a general standpoint. I wasn't trying to relate it to like a specific event that could have happened in an episode or something like that. So a lot of the particular lyrics that referenced Octavia and the whole impish play thing, because this was written before episode 7 came out, they were referencing what we knew at the time, but it was also speaking in more generalized terms of being aware of a grander situation beyond just this thing. But for the music video, it was, we want to capture this specific event of deciding to use this crystal and hand it over and present this choice. So from that perspective, they said that we need to change like a handful of these things so it relates more specifically to this actual event rather than the more generalized one of the original. And even despite that, like, we only changed about 5 lines total. The rest of it's pretty much exactly the same as I wrote it. Very, very little need to be changed on that front, which I was quite happy with. It meant that most of what I did was fine. Yeah, and then I went back and forth, basically, with VivzyPop, just confirming the lyric changes, making alterations about what would still flow better while trying to get across the point of what they wanted the music video to show. We finalized it, and then at some point they had arranged Bryce to come and do a session for the show in general. And during that session, part of it was recording Just Look My Way, and for that they invited me in remotely via a conference call sort of thing to come into the recording process, oversee it. So I got to speak to, obviously, VivzyPop was there. I got to speak to Bryce. Sam Haft was there. Richard Horvitz was there, but that was because he was also there for doing voice recording for other things besides this, but he was also there. All very welcoming, very nice people to speak to and welcome in. And yeah, we just went through the song piece by piece, recorded it in sections. If something needed to be adjusted or we had like a certain idea, then I would either say, oh, you just need to make sure you do this, or someone else would have an idea and we'd try it out just so I had as much material to work with as possible. There was actually one specific bit which I'm pretty sure that one thing that stuck in my mind, we were going through I can't remember what part of the song it was, but we were recording a little bit of it and Bryce accidentally got the rhythm wrong, so we cut the take off early. But he was still in Stolas mode when he did it, so then he was just like, I'm terribly sorry, I'm getting all of your notes wrong. And because he was so, like, sticking to the voice that he didn't break out of it when he said that, and it always just made me laugh. I remember that very clearly. But yeah, he was wonderful. He was very quick to make adjustments, very good at slipping into the more powerful things just on a whim, just doing another take like that, which is obviously a sign of his training. I then got sent all of that recording material. I chose the best parts out of all the takes, put it all together. There was like maybe 2 revisions, and then it was done. And then it was then in the hands of everyone at Spindle. They were the ones who decided how to direct the music video, how to do, what it was going to feature specifically. So I was surprised to see the full thing just as much as all you lot were, because I didn't know what it was going to look like. But yeah, that was the whole process. I actually got to be involved in recording the thing, which was quite nice. So it was interesting. In terms of, do I think other songs of mine will be canonized? That's not up to me. If they ever would want to, they're more than welcome to. I just need to be... All they need to do is ask, but that's not up to me. And I don't go into making any music that I do with the hope that it will. It's like, I'm just glad I got this chance, and I'm really pleased about that. Also, yeah, on Ninja's point, the instrumental in the full hell of a version, I did update it slightly from the old one. I added in some more recent sound libraries. I changed the guitar noise, and I also added in some extra strings and stuff, just because I feel like my production process had gotten better since I originally wrote it. So the instrumental has also been updated and refreshed and remixed. And I know people have been asking, this just to clear this up earlier, I know a lot of people have been asking about, is that version ever going to be on Spotify? Is it ever going to be on these things? It's not up to me, I'm afraid. If they want to release it as part of a soundtrack, if they want to do it anything like that, that is out of my hands. If they want to do it, great. But I can't, I have no say in that. Are you excited for Level Up next month? Are you going to wear a mask? Yes. I still haven't finalized anything, but the plan is yes, I do want to... I will hopefully be at Level Up. I've been assembling some kind of cosplays and different things to do, which all will involve a mask or robot wear. But yeah, I hope to go. I've never done any sort of convention before, ever. The con scene, at least as far as I'm aware in the UK, is a lot smaller than it is in the US, so, getting to go to something like that would be quite cool. Do you think you want to write more music with Psycho Right in the future? Oh no, I'm so over that. We'll change the order, be on iTunes. Yeah, that's another thing people have been asking about. Change the Order is a cover song of something else that already exists, so I have methods to release it if I want to, but I also kind of don't want to because of how out of date it is now. At the time when I wrote it, we knew very little about Lucifer as a character, and there's some parts of it that hold up, but most of it doesn't. So, I don't know, I don't think that will ever have a release unless I completely revamped it into something it was never meant to be, I don't think. Some of the older covers might find their way out there. I might remaster them a little bit and put it out there if they still apply to canon more, but I don't want to put out something that's drastically different. Question. New year means new potential new projects. What are some other universes or fandoms you plan to explore? Well, the next couple of things I've got... The next thing I'm going to release, which should be next month, is not going to be a fandom thing. It's just going to be a piece of pure original music. I worked with a friend on it who's a really good vocalist that I've worked with before, and it's a song that I wrote that was quite important to me when I wrote it. It's one of those things where it's like the sounds that it's part of are stuff that has influenced me for a lot of time. The lyrics that are for it are stuff that I wish I'd heard myself a very long time ago. So it has a lot of personal importance to me. I know that it's not what most of my audience expect, but I really do hope people like it because I'm very proud of it. After that, I am doing a original Lucifer. It's written, it's almost finished, it just needs some more tweaks, but I'm doing like an actual original Lucifer track. As I said publicly on Twitter, I think he's my favorite part of the full show. So he inspired me quite a lot in terms of his character and what some of the things he could do, so I hope that turns out right. It's not going to be like a super energetic, like, song along the lines of, you know, the duet he has with Alistair. It's going to be... I mean, the closest equivalent is Just Look My Way, but it's not going to be that depressing. But it is going to be a lot slower. It is going to be one of those more reflective songs, so I hope that'll turn out well. After that, there's a lot of ideas. I'd like to do more horror property related projects. I'd obviously want to do more original music. I'd want to venture into more interests outside of that, like a certain game universe that isn't just like an animation thing. We'll see. If I have like a decent idea for something, I would want to pursue it, but I never know what that's going to be until it happens. Favorite song in Hazbin? More than anything. Don't even need to think about it. How long did it take you to become a composer? Well, I've been doing music for pretty much most of my life. Like, I've always had, like, a musical streak with things, like, from a young age. In terms of actually making music in the same vein that I do now, I started when I was 14. When I first got, like, FL Studio 7. We're on version 21 now, so it shows how long ago that was. And I dabbled from there, I learned, I listened, and I just kind of went from there. It wasn't until Hazbin's pilot coming out that I kind of got a thing of, I'm confident enough that I'm going to try and put some of this out there. What was your favourite song that you released in 2023? Well, I mean, I could say Biased, because obviously Just Look My Way was really important, but that's technically an old song. I personally think I'm proudest of In My Sights, just because... Well, obviously being able to work with Ed, who, by the way, fantastic singer and stand-up guy. If he ever says he can't sing, don't you listen. It was just such a fun thing to be a part of. There was a lot of great people who worked on that to help direct it with the artwork for the editing and everything, and I was just really happy with how it ended the year so well. I was also very proud of the Lackadaisy track, just because first taste of doing something official, and also because I've always been a sucker for that era of jazz music and stuff, being asked to be a part of that just because I got inspired by their pilot, and so I did that. It was kind of like a repeat of how I started off. So yeah, I was also very proud of Lackadaisy. Who's your fave Hazbin character? Lucifer. He stole the show. I'd say Lucifer and Vox are the two top favorites. I preferred them over almost everyone else. Question: how would you describe the process of making a song for Lackadaisy compared to Helluva Boss? Well, the Lackadaisy thing was initially... It wasn't supposed to be anything. I just got inspired watching their pilot because it was just so fun. I love the animation, I love the voice performances, I just love the whole general vibe of it, so I got inspired. I wrote the song. By this point, I'd gotten speaking to Michael Kovac for a little bit, and we started becoming friends, and I threw the idea to him saying, like, would you be interested in doing this as Rocky? And he was like, oh, sure. And because, I mean, he's said it on his own streams, the whole thing came together in the matter of like a day, because then immediately after he sent over his takes, he was just like, oh, and I'll also get Bill and Lisa in because they'd be really good for this bit. And then the day after that, it got sent over to the Lackadaisy team, and then they suddenly reached out and went, hey, can we use this? So it was like over the course of like 4 or 5 days of making that song, it just suddenly ramped up. For Helluva, it's... I mean, the Lackadaisy thing was more of like a generic theme of the show rather than a character song. For writing things for Helluva Boss or Hazbin or any of the other specific character songs I've done, you have to get into the mindset of what the character is, how they would say things, how they would see things, how they would believe things. So you have to watch, right, what kind of language would this character use? Like, you wouldn't have... Off the top of my head, you wouldn't have a character like Angel speaking in the way that Alistair does, because that's just not how he talks. So whenever you were writing for either character, you would have to stick to their mannerisms and how they would do stuff. I say that's the biggest difference. Opinion on Valentino. I took a while to warm up to him, I admit. I wasn't really sure what angle they were going for with him when he first introduced, and then when he appears later. But then as the show went on, it was like, okay, this is more like what I think most people are expecting him to be. He has got a sense of intimidation about him. Yeah. I think he's fine for his role in the show. I just wish he was given a little bit more to do. If there's one series you'd love to make a song for that isn't Helliverse and you haven't done yet, what series would you most likely tackle? I'd love to do something Silent Hill themed. I'm a massive, massive Silent Hill fan, especially those first 4 games. And especially because there's a lot of music and production in those original games that inspired me a lot in terms of doing sound design and horror and a lot. I would love to do something for that. Maybe we will. I mean, they've revived the brand somehow. They're remaking Silent Hill 2, which... bated breath on how that'll turn out, but we'll see. First, congratulations on 200k. Second, can I cover... Oh, he's retracted, never mind. Ever plan on doing more comic dubs? I don't know. People have been asking about the comic dubs and, like, if I'll do more of, like, a continuation of other things. Music is my better calling for that. I enjoy doing sound design. There's actually something I'm doing recently as part of paid work that's been a really fun sound design thing that should be out soon. But I like doing music more. I have more fun doing it. I know more about how to do it. Sound design was just... you know, it was like a side thing. It was kind of like an extension of, oh, well, I know how to sound design music, so I can sound design other things on top. That's so many questions I have to keep track of, sorry. What kind of changes do you hope they make in Season 2 of Hazbin? I just think it just needs to slow down a little bit. My only real big issue with the show was that it just went by too quickly. They just need to slow down a bit. That's my only massive nitpick, if you want to call it that. I just think it needs to slow down. They tried to do... I get they only have a certain number of episodes, but they did try to do too much to me. How and why did you choose the robot avatar? Well, D'Amato, if they're still here, they designed the robot just on a whim as a birthday gift one year. When I was first starting out, and it just stuck. I really liked the design. I was like, hey, can I have that? And they were like, yeah! And it just kind of stuck. There's been, like, minor tweaks and changes over the years, but it was initially a gift that I didn't ask for. But Dom did such a great job designing it that I was like, I want this. I like this a lot. Can you make a Millie and Moxie song? If I ever have an idea for one, maybe, but Moxie is a voice I cannot do. I cannot do it. He's so specifically Richard Horvitz in how he speaks and acts, and I cannot impersonate that. I would need to work with someone else who can do it to do something like that. At the end of the day, it's like the same reason when people say, like, can you write a song for Vaggie or this character? And it's like, I can't do those voices for obvious reasons. I would need to work with people who can, and, you know, it's more difficult to get that going. I was going to ask about non-Hella voices you can do so well. Yeah, I mean, I also suppose that from an early age I've also been somewhat of a natural mimic. I always used to try and impersonate and copy things I saw in movies and TVs a lot, so... There are obviously some things that I can't do naturally, like... The original version of Husk's voice was always really difficult, and I definitely can't do what his full show one is now. It's just my voice physically can't do that. my doesn't go low enough. So... There are some things that I can't do, but in terms of the general tone of how people speak, I would say there's a few things I can do. Do you like the ARG Welcome Home? If so, who's your favorite character? I like the concept of Welcome Home. I always like horror ARG things, and obviously Wally's very, very sweet, but it's in its very early stages, so I don't know what to make of it just yet. Raven Spice, no, the robot does not have a name. He's not really a character, he's just kind of like a representation of me. He's not like someone who has lore or backstory or personality. He's just I don't want to say a symbol because that's not right, but he's just a representation of me. He's not supposed to be his own thing, so he doesn't have a name. He's just DJ. Do you plan on making more covers? Maybe. I mean, I worked on the Clown Bitch cover with Riot not long ago. That was fun because I just got to make the music for that. In terms of doing some myself, I don't know. I like doing the originals. They're more satisfying to write originally now. I started doing the covers off because I didn't think I could write original music back then, and then I put out Eyes on Me, and I was like, oh, I can do this. I'm gonna do more. Which character from Hello Boss deserves their own spin-off in your opinion? I don't think they need a spin-off. I think a show like that with so many characters, I think it's better if they're all just kind of there. I mean, it'd be fun to see, you know, stuff that Stryker gets up to on a side, but I don't think it would need to have its own series for something like that. Why did you call yourself Paranoid DJ? Specifically, it comes from when I was first starting making music. I was very much a DDR player, like Dance Dance Revolution, and there's a series of songs in there called Paranoia that are spelt in the same way I spell my name. And I thought they sounded cool, and then they were like, oh, it's like Ravenclaw music. So I just Paranoid, spelt that way, and then DJ. And it just stuck. So yes, inspired by DDR would be the reason I call that. I also probably would say I'm kind of a paranoid person in general in terms of worrying a lot. So it kind of fit in that regard too. Do you think you could make another Vox Fan song? Maybe. I've said before on the post I made about this that I could do other, like, second versions of songs or, like, completely brand new ones now because we have actual canon to work with. Never say never. If I have an idea, it might happen. I preferably like to try and do other things first. As in, like, do brand new things first before going back and revising, but... how did you make Thank You and Goodnight? I did not make Thank You and Goodnight. That was by Black Griffin and all of the wonderful Pilot Cast members. Please go watch that video and that song. It's wonderful. When can we hear more Valentino from your VA? You mean my version of his voice? Probably retired. Because it's so at odds with what Valentino actually sounds like. And, you know, I'm glad that people enjoyed it as much as they did, and I know it was something that a lot of people liked, and I still get comments now saying, like, oh, your voice is good for this, and, like, I'm glad people liked it, but we have canon now, and my interpretation of him is not close to canon, apart from, like, a handful of lines. If I ever have to bring those voices back for anything, I'd probably just try and do them as close to what the real things are supposed to be now. But that said, as I said, I'm glad people liked what I guessed what they could sound like before we got it. You're very welcome, Pete of Dawn. Thoughts on people maybe commissioning you for original music? Maybe. It all depends on what the song needs to be, how long it needs to be, what kind of thing it is. I can't say for certain. It maybe. If it ever becomes a thing that I want to do, then I'll do it. So stay tuned. If you did another indie game song, what game would it be from? Ooh. I would like to do Hollow Knight. If we're talking about specific indie games, like Hollow Knight or Ori would be really good. But I'm not sure. favorite hell of a character. I'd say it's tied between Fizz and Moxie. I really came to like Fizz a lot as the more we saw of him. Did you feel sad when official Hazbin Hotel came out and settled things instead of what you had in mind? Well, at the end of the day, what they want to do with the show is their business. So, if they did something that wasn't like how I imagined it was going to be, then yeah, there might have been an aspect of like, oh well, I was expecting this and they didn't do it. But at the end of the day, they have a plan for it, so they'll do what they want to do. And what was your initial reaction when Look My Way became official? As I said earlier, I was asked to be a part of the process of making that. So initially I thought it was someone pretending to be VivziePop messaging me. Because I was like, why would the real thing message me like that? And then it turns out it was legit. And I was like, oh, well, it's an honor. Let's get to work. Thank you, Leonardo, too. I'm glad people liked my versions of the characters before they had voices. It was fun to be that. Would you considering making a Digital Circus or Murder Drone song? I've been tempted to do both. I'm not gonna lie. Digital Circus, I think, is... I know it's the big hit thing now. Digital Circus is difficult because the show's not really supposed to be a heavy story-based thing, from what I understand. It's just supposed to be like a fun animated thing, and that's fine, that's wonderful, it's brilliant at doing that. But for me, if I'm writing specific character music, I want to tap into certain traits of those characters. Right now, I need to see more of Digital Circus to know how that works for everybody. Murder Drone's coming to an end. Again, there's a lot to work with, though, with Murder Drones. But we'll see. What's your favorite genre of video games and why? Horror, no doubt. I think because in video games, horror allows you to experiment with things that you do and create a sense of tension in an interactive way that you can't really do in a lot of other mediums. It's why I like Silent Hill so much. It's why Resident Evil's so much fun. Horror in general is just a genre where you can kind of push the boundaries and you can just take it as it is, because you don't need to be realistic. I find that fun. Aside from that, just action games, like third-person action games, akin to anything Platinum has made. Like, if anyone knows me, they'll know how much of a Bayonetta freak I am, so... Welcome in, Destiny. Did you ever watch the FNAF movie? I did! I was very surprised at how much I liked it. It was really fun. How moving situation. I only have like a handful piece of furniture left to build and then I'm finished, pretty much. So the move is finally done. I've just been having to sync up a lot with my brother's schedule because we're sharing the house. So to make it ready, we've had to coincide around his schedule and stuff, so it's been difficult to be consistently working at it. Have you heard of the SCP Foundation? Yes, I have. There's actually some quite good ones in there. I mean, it's like with any sort of group fan work like that, is that there's going to be some bad stuff, but there's also some really good stuff in there. I can't remember what number it is, but the one specifically about you don't recognize the bodies in the water is my favorite. I really like that one. Are we going to get a song for Nifty? If... again, if I have an idea, maybe. Nifty's one of those characters that she's there for, like, some of the best jokes of the show, but there's not much else to her as of yet. So I need to see more. I hope you'll sing another song about Fizzaroli. Yeah, if I ever do V2s and, like, there's a development that happens in the show that inspires me to do something, then sure, I could give it another go. But we don't know. How long do I plan to stream for? I don't know! And talking like this for this amount of time is very straining on the voice after a while, and I haven't done this for a while, but we'll see. Just however long, a couple of hours maybe. What do you hope to see in the upcoming episode of Hello Boss titled Full Moon? Honestly, I hope it is kind of like a continuation of the music video. As egotistical as that is, I want to see that sort of same level of Stolas recognizes I have done bad, and I'm doing this for your sake because you matter so much. I want to see that. And it's because the story implies that that's what it's going to lead up to, and I hope they just stick landing on that front. That's all I really want. What did you think of Alistair in the show? I liked him. I do think he was a little bit underutilized because he just kind of like showed up for a bit and then disappeared every so often. But I did like the little hints that there's something more to him beneath the surface. Again, but that boils down to I just think that Hazbin needed to slow down a little bit, and that might be a limitation of the number of episodes or what have you. It just needs to slow down a bit, but I enjoyed it. Are you still VA Valentino for any comic fandoms? I love your VA Valentino so much. I did still contribute a handful of lines in my old version of his voice for Axel Gear's series, some of which were recorded before the show came out, so they might show up still in some future episodes, but in terms of anything else, not really. Thank you, Etties. Am I saying that right? No, I'm glad that I had like a little bit of an impact in this community as much as I did, because I've explained the story before, but like the whole community of creativity surrounding that universe in particular helped me do this for a living. It helped me through some rough times, and it was very inspirational. So I'm always going to be thankful for that. Can you speak in any other language? I cannot speak any other languages. I can speak a handful of broken French that I learned in high school, but I can't sing in other languages. I know people ask, can you do this in another language? And the question is, and the matter of fact is I can't. If people want to hear my songs in other languages, then it'll have to be down to people who want to do their own versions. Did the artist say you have a reference to the robot son? I'd like to draw them soon. Really, any of the fan art that people have drawn of him would be fine for that. There is like an official reference, and I don't think it ever got posted publicly anywhere. Unless I'm misremembering because my memory is terrible. Question, years from now, what do you want people to remember of your work? Just that it fit the intention, and that it was fun to listen to. No, I don't make this stuff with the aim of like, oh, I'm going to become like the biggest thing ever in whatever. It's like, no, I make this stuff because I have fun doing it, and I'm glad that other people enjoy it at the same time. Do you still consider Hazbin and Helliver a coping mechanism? I mean, at the very beginning of me doing all of this, it definitely was. Since then, just doing the process of music and working on so many projects that I have. There's some that I haven't spoken about here, which I'm not allowed to talk about yet, which I'm really going to be happy when they're out. But, you know, just being able to do this for a living is the coping. It's like, I can do this, I can do something I enjoy, and, you know, I'm very fortunate on that front, and it's because of everyone else. It's pretty much because of everyone here who's supported me throughout all that, so... Do you have any voice acting advice? Focus on the acting. The biggest thing that I've seen that... I mean, I'm not a professional voice actor by any means necessary. That is not my role. I am a musician first and foremost. The voice acting just comes secondary because it's so character-based. For voice acting, there's a lot of people who focus on the kind of voices they can do, but not the acting of what that voice is doing. So it's like, oh, I can do like goofy, wacky voices and like low, deep voices, but then they can't act the lines they're given. I think more than anything, focus on the acting would be my advice. What about Poppy Playtime? Anything with that? Maybe? Poppy Playtime has definitely become... Like, I'm kind of surprised at how much better it got with the most recent chapter. Like, it's like they really stepped up the quality of it in that one. but maybe when it's all finished. The problem with episodic games like that is that you could write something, and then the next chapter they have in like a couple of months after that would render what you wrote completely wrong. I know with Hazbin that kind of happened with some of the songs I wrote, but there was years before that happened, so it felt fine. How did you first get into sound designing and editing? That was a side product of doing music. I would learn how to edit sounds and do musician practice and sound design on that front, and then you can apply a lot of the same techniques that you would do there onto sound effects and timing and everything else like that. Thank you, Mayfa. Yeah, singing La Vie en Rose, I had to listen to that religiously to make sure I was pronouncing everything correctly, because, again, I don't speak French. So if I was going to sing a song that was written in another language, I have to get the pronunciation right, otherwise I'm just going to sound silly. But I'm glad it came across alright. I'm pretty sure I still didn't get all of it 100% correct, but it was still fun to do. How was it to work with Riot and Chi-Chi for the Getcha cover? Very fun! It likened me back to the earlier days when I was doing the instrumentals for the earlier covers. Because essentially, for some people might not know, all the instrumentals of the really early cover music I used to do, they were freshly made, recreated by me from scratch. I'm not using original material in any of those. And it's always a fun challenge because you have to listen to what the original was and think, oh, well, this sound needs to sound like this, and this rhythm needs to be here and whatnot, and that was always a fun challenge. So doing that for Getcha, where I had to recreate the original instrumental as close as possible, was fun. I liked that. Did you make all this fan art? No! All of the artist names who made every single piece you're seeing are scrolling continuously along the bottom of the screen. Please check out, they're all on their Twitter handles. Please go give them some love. I did not make any of this artwork. It's all by the lovely people whose names are on there. What would you like to see in the second season of Hazbin aside from better pacing? In terms of particular plot points, I don't really mind what they do, as long as they just stick to the premise. From the very beginning, all I want them to do is just make the hotel the feature, make the whole concept of redemption the feature. That's all I really want. How they do it, in what way, is completely up to them. Maybe they'll surprise me with something else. All I want them to do is just stick to the point. And I think they can do that. What do you think of Vox? Second best character in the show. I like how sleazy businessman he is, but then there's moments where all of that he loses his cool very, very easily. I'm also really glad that they made him digital in specific instances and did corrupt his voice in some way. At first I was worried he was just going to sound like a person, but then they started adding in those effects where he gets angry and glitched out, and I was like, okay, no, they're still doing that right, that's fine. Any birthday plans? Apart from releasing this pure original song? Nope. I don't usually do a lot of things for my birthday. When did Vivzy first reach out for you with the music video? God, I can't remember the exact date, but it was more than a year ago. Well more than a year ago that I got asked. People don't understand, for a lot of animation things like this, is that the sound and the music has to be done so far in advance because the animators have to sync up to it. And people are just like, oh, they're recording Hazbin Season 2 right now, and it's like, yeah, and you're still not going to get to see the show for another couple of years. Because all the sound of, like, the scratch audio for the voices and the songs, that all needs to be finished and recorded and done first, so the animators have something to work from. Then they'll do the animation, then all the visual stuff, and then they'll do sound design after that. Thank you very much, Tolef. Now, it's always very nice when people are that complimentary about my work. I'm glad that people like it. I do occasionally have moments where I'm like, oh, is this going to be the one that no one likes? But then everyone's just so welcoming about it anyway, and I'm just like, I'm just glad I do this. Just very nice. Would you like Lucifer and Lilith to get back together? I'm gutted how they were divorced. I think there's something suspicious going on there. Because from the way Lucifer behaves, he clearly misses her and he misses his family. I don't think it was like they had a big bust-up. I think something else is going on there, but I just don't know what. When is my birthday? The 16th of March. So this month, actually, 2 weeks away-ish. Who are you excited to meet at Level Up? Honestly, anyone. I mean, again, I've never been to a con before, so if I have a chance to go and meet, like, a bunch of people, I'm like, oh, I know you, kind of. And again, I've never been in a situation where people know who I am on that level either. Not that I'm expecting to get, like, recognized as, oh my god, it's you, because I don't have a high enough opinion of myself for that. But, honestly, anyone would be great. How did it feel to create Blood Runs Thicker with August? Blood Runs Thicker was fun. Just, it was a chance, that was the sort of horror thing I was on about. It's like, I get to push the rules here. I get to make something gritty and wild and completely evil sounding in the vein of, like, Muerte and Sudden Death and, like, all these really harsh dubstep artists, because it's a big sound design challenge. I was like, so harsh electronic noises, that'll work for a killer robot, yeah? And again, August killed it with his Springtrap vocals, so... Are you planning on making any songs for Vox or the V's as a whole? Ooh, doing it as like a trio, that'd be interesting. That's not a bad idea. If there's something I can... I know they're going to be a more prominent factor in Season 2, so maybe there. What kind of mask are you going to wear to the con? I'm planning to bring 2. I have a full... almost minus like 2 pieces that have yet to arrive. I have a full cosplay of Ghost from Call of Duty, which includes his genuine military gear. I've got like a real plate carrier and like all the stuff for it as well, and his mask and everything. I've got that, and I also have a LED robot mask that's on the way that is tailored to kind of look like my robot as best as I can. That hasn't arrived yet, so I'll probably be in either one of those two, I think. What programs have you used and what do you primarily use now? I use FL Studio 21 for everything I do, in terms of making stuff. We're getting a drink together. When in Vegas! What was your reaction at Pentius's death? I mean, if the point was to make me feel shocked, it was just kind of like really sudden. Like, right, that's it. And then they just kind of moved on really quickly, so that was a bit surprising. But then when he showed up in heaven afterwards, anyway, I was like, okay, that's why, because he's not actually dead. So it was just a thing that happened, I guess. You do cosplay? I'm trying to. I've never done it before. So we'll see. How do you react to the song Poison? The song itself or the context in terms of the episode? The song itself I think is fine. Like, Blake did a good job trying to balance all that, especially singing Angel's voice at those ranges is not easy. Yeah, I thought it was fine. I think I don't know, I would have liked to see a bit more variation in, like, chords, but that's not really a criticism. That's just kind of like a more what I like in music. It's a preference thing. It's not really something the song did wrong. It's just like, oh, I personally would have done this. But it was good. It was good for its purpose. What's your favorite song that you've made? In general? That is such a hard question to answer, because I'm proud of everything I do for different reasons. Like, I'm very proud of Just Look My Way, because obviously it got made official to the point where they were like, no, it was so close to the plan that we don't need to change much of it, and I was like, okay, that's fine. But then there's other songs like Use Me Up, or the Deltarune song, or Blood Runs Thicker, where I really think I captured the character very well. I can't say the specific one that I like the most. Is it hard to get into character for a particular character? That depends on the character. If it's a character that has like a really rough voice, like there's gravel or it's really low tones, I have to warm up or only do that at certain times of the day, like the old Pilot Husk voice. I can't just do that unprompted. I need to... like, it has to be just after I've woken up, and I also have to, you know, warm up first. Can I get a hell yeah? Is that good enough? Happy early birthday, Novice. you have any thoughts on Stolas's outfit? I mean, he wears so many. Was the Hell of a Team the one that wanted you to change the lyrics and Look My Way? Yes. So, essentially, when you get asked to work on a piece of music for something like this as part of a licensing agreement, and this is the truth for whenever you are creating music for something specifically, you are given a brief. And that's basically, the song needs to have these qualities to fit with what we want to do with it, and that can be anything from how long it needs to be, to the genre it needs to be, to lyric changes. I explained this a little bit earlier before, but generally, they liked what Just Look My Way was going for in terms of the general vibe of it. It was, Stolas self-reflecting, and trying to make amends for something that he was doing, while at the same time also being like, why doesn't he like me? Oh, wait, it's because of things I've done. And they wanted to keep that intact from when we spoke about it. The lines they wanted changing, like getting rid of the impish plaything lines and the thing with Octavia, or the references to Octavia, that was, I don't think it was to invalidate those ideas that I had. It was more so that, as I said, the music video was supposed to be referencing a specific event in the story, as it just the deal with the Asmodean crystal. And obviously, because that song was written well before Stolas had like his change of language towards when he was speaking with Blitz, so he doesn't say things like impish plaything anymore. They said we need to get rid of that because it doesn't fit what we're doing now. The Octavia line was during the process, was as we were changing it and going back and forth and changing specific things, I made the suggestion, like, is this also something you would want changed? And then they went back and said, yes, we do want that. So if you want to blame anyone for that, you could technically blame me for that, but it was still done in the service of, well, if this is the direction you're taking this song, do you also want this done as well? And then they would say yes or no to that, and we'd work back and forth. There's actually a document where me and Vivzipop would go back and forth, sort of suggesting different changes to whatever lyrics needed. But as I said earlier, most of it was also left intact. There was not a lot of there was not like, most of the song is as it was originally written. I don't like Valentino, but how did you do his voice? I focus more on making him very insect-like. I basically would go low, and as low as I could, but then I would apply a very slight phasing effect, so it sounded like his voice was kind of slightly more in your ears than normal. And I also used something called monophonic time stretching, where it creates that buzzing. You usually use it if you want to keep the general qualities of a sound intact while adjusting how long or short it is and pitch and whatever. But when you do it to a human voice, it creates that buzzing effect, which is why you should never use it on a human voice. But I tried it and I was like, oh, that sounds really like, you know, in your ears creepy insect, and so I just stuck with that. And apparently a lot of people liked it, so... Genuine curiosity, all English speakers that mention me just call me Daria. Do you know how to say my middle name? It doesn't really have an English counterpart. I don't. I just read names as they show up. When you created regular demons, how did you work with the ending and have so many overlapping voices sound good together and not disappear into one another? That was a challenge. Oh look, Michael's here. He is invaded. Hi, Michael. Yeah, for regular demons, it was a lot of nitpicking and panning things left and right and adjusting volume levels on the fly. Like, it took a lot of fine tweaking. Dragons have invaded Daves and Busters! Yeah, say hi to Michael, everyone. He was great in Liquid Gold. Oh god, we got another one. Hi, Dave. It's like the fucking Smash meme. Everyone is here. Stream's fine. We've just been talking, explaining the process of recording music and whatnot. The goat! The goat! Hello. Welcome in, everyone. This is a wonderful place to be. Oh yeah, definitely remember to keep the lowercase. I am so anal about that. Yeah, can we make this a trend? Can we just make it so that, like, every single lowercase I for everything ever now? Were you asked to do Liquid Gold by the Lackadaisy team, or did you make it and then them posting it themselves came later? I said this a little bit earlier. Essentially, I reached out to Michael saying, hey, I saw Lackadaisy and it was really cool and I wrote a song. Do you want to be on it? And Michael was like, sure! And then the next day he'd sent over all his takes. While also saying, oh, I also got Belle and Lisa involved for, like, the chorus. I think that'd sound really good. Oh, and by the way, I also showed it to Tracy. And then they were like, yeah, they want to use it. But that happened over the course of, like, maybe 3-4 days. It was crazy how fast that came together. Michael's explained it on his own streams before, but it was fast how all that happened. Anyone who forgets the eye is permabanned. By the power of DJ, it shall be so. Jeez, where the hell did that come from? How many voices have you messed at this point, and what is your best advice for new VAs? As I've said, I'm not a professional voice actor. I'm not the person to give the best advice on this. In general, just focus on the acting. That matters a lot more than the kind of voices you can do. Oh yeah, and as Michael said, we actually finished Liquid Gold, I think it was in March? Like, it was really soon after the Lackadaisy pilot had come out, and the entire song came together in, like, a couple of days, but the reason it took so long is because, obviously, they had the fundraising thing for Lackadaisy, they had other things to work on, also because they were making the lyric video, which is, go watch it, because it's wonderful, it's beautiful to look at, I love the way it looks. But that just took a long time to finish, which is why it didn't come out until a couple of months afterwards. Notice me, senpai. Hi, DJ. How hard is it for you to switch between your normal voice and an American accent? That depends on the accent. I've visited America a lot, so slipping into talking like an American is not that difficult. It's not really, it won't sound real because I don't have the natural inflection in my voice when I'm faking it, but I can kind of go into a version of American quite easily and back. What do you think will come out first, Hazbin Hotel Season 2 or Silk Song? Dude, Silk Song's never coming out. I'm convinced Silk Song is a collective hallucination we all had. It's not real. What was your most expensive character? What do you mean by expensive? You mean, like, most difficult one to try, or, like, how much effort it took to make them? Wait, what is my nationality? I am from England, specifically the north of England. I am a Brit. Digital hallucination. Yeah, people do think I'm Australian. I'm not. I'm from England. Yes, Sirens. Bean was giving me stink eye earlier because I had to help her with some shed, but she's fine. Fish and chips, mate. Dude, we didn't get fish and chips when we went to Alton Towers. We missed out. Is it possible we can get more Q&A streams like this? Maybe, if there's a reason to. I don't do enough really to warrant these very often, but when I do, I'll do it. I'll hold you to that, Michael. Thoughts on the Bendy movie? If they can do it well, I do like Bendy a lot. My favourite British producer. Maybe you have Australian ancestor in your tree. I have no idea. My parents used to actually be very much into family trees when that was like a big craze, but I've never looked. I don't really care enough. Do you know Wikipedia classifies Jedi and the Ghostbusters as superheroes? What are your thoughts on this? I mean, they are, kinda. Bogies. That's something we'll need to play at some point. What drives you to make your music? I'm just inspired by things that I like. If I see something that has a good potential to tell a story that I could make sound interesting and that would just be fun, I want to do it. It's why, like, you know, the thing I'm bringing out next month is just an original piece of music. It doesn't need to be related to anything. I just wanted to tell something through music. I suppose I could actually say it. Michael's going to be on it. So, but you'll hear about that in like next week or so, and it's going to be good, I hope. How was doing sound design for the finished animation of Look My Way, Different View of the projects? Well, the sound design initially wasn't going to be done by me. I was asked quite last minute during that process, to like, oh, can you do sound design for this? Can we need it? And so I just had to add like a few effects of Stolas walking and using his magic and whatnot, but in a way where it wasn't obtrusive to the music. But that didn't take me long at all because I didn't have to do much for it. And yes, I'm really looking forward to people hearing this track. I know it's not fandom related or anything, but it's something I'm very, very proud of. So I hope you'll all listen. What's the maximum number of people you've worked with on a single song? I'd probably say it was Regular Demons. There's like 4 different vocalists on there besides myself. In terms of sheer number of people I've had to be involved with, I would say it was that one. What do you think of Velvet being British? I like how they chose the most stereotypical London accent for her. I think that was quite fun. God damn it, Valentino! What is your favourite food? I can name a specific place I like the food at most. I can't name a specific dish. That's specifically Ohana's at Walt Disney World. I've never eaten a meal there I've hated. It's the best thing in the world. What was your favourite or most challenging part of making Regular Demons? It was the ending. I wanted to do that whole overlapping chaos thing at the end, and there was just so many voices that you had to balance out that was the most difficult part to do right. But I was really glad that I pulled it off so well. I'm very proud of that one. Which is better, Alistair or Stolas? I think Alistair probably beats it because he's more intriguing. But having now written canon music for Stolas, I understand that. His appeal as just as much, so... What's your favourite character from Poppy Playtime? I don't really have one, because a lot of the characters are just like monsters. They're not really characters as such. I like Missy because she's like a friendly Huggy, and Huggy's design is kind of, well, it is famous at this point, but I don't know. What is your favourite book? House of Leaves. Don't even have to think about it. House of Leaves is one of the best things I've ever read, and it also will break your mind when you read it. Please check it out. It's quite old, it's from the year 2000, but it's so good. Are you planning on any Bendy songs in the future? Maybe when The Cage comes out. I am looking forward to that. What was your inspiration for Blood Runs Thicker? Well, I've always liked Springtrap as a character in the early FNAF games when the story didn't kind of get ridiculous. And And at the time that I was thinking about that, I was listening to a lot of artists that make very hard-sounding dubstep, like Sudden Death or Muerte or Moody Good or artists like that, and I was like, I want to try doing that because some of their sound design is really cool, and I want to learn how to do that. So, I was influenced a lot by the way they process bass noises and drums and stuff, and I hope it came across well. Oh, Veggie Gamer, hello! Yeah, House of Leaves is mad. It's an incredible read, but it is mental in the best way. Any future projects? I said I have the original coming out next month with Michael. I have an original Lucifer song that is almost finished, but not quite. There's a couple of other things that I'm also working on for other projects that I can't talk about yet. But I'm looking forward to when they'll be out. After that, it'll just be a case of, do I have an idea for this? Then yes, I will. Do you think pineapple belongs on pizza? No. And yes, I've heard of the My House map. That's just as insane as the book. And thank you, Fredbear. Yeah, I liked doing the House of Leaves bit. I know it was just like a little spooky bit, but I really liked doing that just because it's fun. Like, a lot of horror can be really implied by what you don't see. So doing just a sound only thing with it was quite fun. Favorite place you visited in the States? I'm biased because I've been to the States a lot while I've been growing up, and I'm also some spoiled little baby. Walt Disney World, every single time. I've enjoyed going to Vegas before. I've especially liked going to some of the like volcanic monuments like Mount St. Helens and Lassen Peak and stuff on the West Coast. But if I had to pick a specific place, it's always going to be there. Thank you, Jaggy. World one, Disney World, the one in Florida. That's the better one. It's all this freaking intense stream music that has to be royalty free. Do you know, it's funny, I have this playlist of music playing in the background that's supposed to be royalty free streaming music, and the last time I did a stream like this, it got copyright claimed. Like, yeah, make sense of that, if you will. What's my Sona's favorite food? He doesn't have one. He's not really a Sona or a separate character. He's just like a representation of me. So I guess his favorite food would be mine? Yes. Did you ever get the package I sent? Yes, I did, Dom. I have everything you've sent me before. I would drag you behind to Disney myself. Oh no, we'll make it happen, don't worry. Yeah, I'm switching this song. This song sucks. Alright, let's do something better. My favorite song or genre of music. Genre has to be rave music. Specifically things like UK hardcore or hard trance or the Gabba variants of hardcore from the Netherlands. Like, I grew up on this stuff. Like, the first album I ever bought was a rave compilation called Bonkers 14, and that essentially shaped my entire music taste for the rest of my life. I've always wanted to release like a hardcore song from like one of those early days, but it's very fast-paced, energetic music stuff by artists like Gamma and Scott Brown and like a bunch of others. Architect. Yes, Satana, I'll say this as a blanket statement here as well. If anyone wants to do like covers of stuff or animations or anything else about the music that I've done, you are more than free to do so. I encourage you to do so. It's very flattering that you get inspired by that. By all means, go for it. You don't need to ask for my permission. The only thing I ask is that if it's going to be like a cover, like, don't monetize it unless you go through the right channels to release it, like through DistroKid or something, because that's just only fair. Do you listen to nerdcore stuff like JT Music? I've listened to a handful of songs by artists like that. I guess I would class myself as nerdcore, because most of the stuff I've made has been based off other stuff. So do I count as that? I don't know the definition. We know you're a big sci-fi horror person, but is there anything in the fantasy genre you enjoy? Movies and books? I used to be a big fan of Eragon back in the day, before the 4th book dropped the ball completely and ruined everything. I've always liked the Final Fantasy series, clues in the name. In terms of anything else other fantasy, though, I don't know what else would be interesting to me. I find a lot of fantasy is kind of samey after a while. What are your plans going into the future? I've got a couple of things in the works. Some things I've mentioned earlier, some things I can't talk about just yet, but I'm going to be keeping as busy as I can. I want to keep doing this for as long as it is possible. And I will. Do you think the Angel and Vox cover of Valentina will be canonized? Probably not. It's a cover song, and they already have a music team. They don't need to license covers. Some of your covered songs are Lady Gaga songs. Is she one of your sources of inspiration? Absolutely. Again, she shaped how music is written, how you would write hooks, how you would use electronic sounds in that stuff. She's a massive inspiration. She still is. Thank you, Captain Trips. Do you listen to your own stuff? I have to in the process of making it to make sure it sounds alright, but it's not done for the case of I like listening to myself. It's because I have to listen to it critically to make sure like a mix is correct or something. And I'm not the best at that still. I know I still make occasional like mixing mistakes and stuff, but I've been getting better at giving my ears a chance to rest and not being so hyper-focused all the time on that. When did you start to VA and what was the first character you VA'd with? If you want to be very technical, the first characters I tried to VA as were Bendy and Henry back when there was like only, I think it was like only chapter 3 of Bendy was out at that point. It was way before I did any of the Hazbin stuff. It was the first time I tried to do a dub, and it was like, oh, that was fun. And then I kind of quit YouTube and everything for a couple of years because of life, and then I came back with the official comic dub, and now here we are. Would it be possible to get you an Anime Con's Raven Deej as a guest? If it was possible, I would love to. I've only performed live in earlier music projects in, like, secondary school before. I have the equipment to, like, do live DJ sets and, like, mash my own stuff up with rave music and stuff, and I'd love to do it. I even contemplated doing that as part of like a stream here once, but then copyright would kick my ass and they wouldn't let me do that, probably. Do you see your 40-year-old self still doing Fandom songs? If the Fandom still gives me ideas. I hope so. What is one fictional setting you love from media? I like different settings for different reasons. I like the lore and aesthetic of things like Silent Hill. I love Bayonetta lore, because I'm a massive fan of Bayonetta, and the story and lore in that game is also quite underrated. What is your personal favourite song of all time? I would probably have to say... God, favourite song of all time. This is only going to be a handful of like 2 songs. There's only 2 songs that this could be. One of them is called Into the Future by Gamma, spelled G-A-M-M-E-R. It was released in 2005. I heard it on that first rave compilation I ever bought when I was a teenager, and I was like, I need to learn how to make this stuff. And then the evolution of that was a couple of years later when it was the Scion Unknown remix of Hyperspeed, which was the same vein of music, but it was just so energetic and so much fun, and it just inspired me even more. I would have to narrow it down to those 2. Would you ever go on tour? I don't think I'm ever going to be, like, big enough to warrant a tour, but it's a nice idea. We send you fan gifts through the mail. It's very sweet of you. Again, I don't know if, like, the need to do that is around. Maybe in the future, if there's, like, a thing like a P.O. box. I've never had to think about it before. At all. I love listening to your songs, but I replace characters with OC of mine. It's fun. It's also a curse. No, I get... No, that's literally the reason why I started doing the covers. It was because I would listen to a song, and then based off something I was hearing, I would be like, oh, this works for that. I remember hearing an Owl City song, God knows how many years ago. I think it was called Embers. And I was listening to that, and I was like, oh my god, this is just How to Train Your Dragon. And, like, you know, so I get that. I make relations like that, too. Have you listened for Marta and Mystica from Silent Hill 2? All of the Silent Hill soundtracks Yamaoka have made are beautiful. Especially the horror theme ones. Everyone always likes, you know, the theme of Laura and You're Not Here and like all these other, you know, Room of Angel. Everyone likes those. I like the ones where he goes really experimental and industrial crazy with it. I like the ones where he does that most. Do you listen to Daft Punk? Yep, and I'm so sad they're not around anymore. Would you ever consider making a song with the V's trio? Again, if there's a good enough idea for all of them, it'd be fun to try. On all of them, Vox is the best. Velvet I need to see more of. Val took a while to grow on me. Oh yeah, Ninja, don't get me started on that. Silent Hill 3 is so sad. If there's one more for a video game, movie, or show that you got feeling chills race through your body to the point your tear fall down your face, I think it was the first time that I played through the opening of Bayonetta 2 because it was just such a happy, wonderful, stupid, dumb moment of how amazing it was. I was like, oh! In terms of another video game, I would say most of Nier Automata, or most of Nier Replicant, because Yoko Taro is an evil genius, and he will make you feel things. Bayo is queen, yes. What are your thoughts on Billy Bust-Up? I'm very intrigued by Billy Bust-Up. I think the concept of it is very fun. Obviously, a lot of very talented people working on it. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how it turns out. What mic do you use at the moment? I use a Rode NT1, going through a very basic Minifuse 1 sound interface. How would you describe your clothing style and what is your go-to outfit? Anything black. I wear a lot of hoodies, skinny jeans, usually a face covering of some kind, a beanie hat. I never go anywhere without my beanie hat. Also, yes, I loved Bayonetta 3. I loved... Loads of people got really mad at Bayonetta 3 for silly reasons, but then I played Bayonetta 3 and I was like, you guys have no idea what you're talking about. This game rocks. No, I'm not goth. I like black, I am not goth. Would you ever make non-vocal music? Because the most of them that I've heard around are really good. If I had a good idea for a vocal, like a non-vocal track, I'd do that. The thing with electronic music is that you can do that sort of nice-sounding stuff without needing vocals. It's just, in a lot of instances, if I want to tell a specific mood, or a specific thing, I prefer vocals being there. Yeah, the controversy with Bayo's voice actress was essentially the original one lied, and threw unnecessary, harsh words towards Jennifer Hale, and I didn't approve of that. Throughout all the songs you made, is there a lyric you've written that is your favourite? I think the one I'm most proud of, just because I saw the reaction to it all the time, was in Use Me Up, where it's, swear I don't even miss the pleasure I can no longer feel, because every time everyone hears that line, they all go, oh no. I was really proud of that one. If you went for a specific line. What pet would you recommend owning? I mean, I'm biased because I own a leopard gecko, and she's so cute. But they also do require a lot of setup, and you need to have certain conditions for them. Really, as long as you're responsible and you do your research, own what you like. Just put the animal's welfare ahead of everything. Don't half-arse it. That line made me go to therapy. I succeeded! Leo, I've never used BandLab before, but to me, the way that you make music is not as important as the music you make. If you have a particular type of software or a method that you use to make music and it works the best for you, then do that. It doesn't really matter what you do. There's no real best way to do music creation. If it's a method that you find easiest and it gets you good results, then use that. In regards to my VAR voice, Olivia, I'm effectively retiring the voice altogether. Like, I want to try and, with the stuff I make, be as accurate to the source material if it's based on something as possible. It might show up. I have for fun, and I may show this off at some point in the future. There was one time for a Final Hurrah where I did overdub the first scene with Val and Vox using my version of the voices for them just for fun. Like sound design and everything. But I only did it just to practice and also just for my own sake of mine, because for me putting that out there, I don't want to disrespect the actual voice actors, because, you know, they are the voices now. But apart from minor things like that, I probably will not do them again. Like, they had their time, and I'm glad people really like them, but unless there's a very specific reason why, they'll probably just not show up again. Look. Do you prefer the original pilot cast or Prime? They both do well for what they do for their different things. The pilot cast are brilliant, and the cast of the full show are brilliant. They all do well. I don't think putting them against each other like that is fair to them. They're all very talented actors. What's the most difficult part of your work in music? Mixing. Mixing is something I always struggle with in terms of making everything clear and balancing stuff like out. I always find that very difficult. I'm getting better at it. I think I've become a lot cleaner with that aspect, but I always find that the most difficult part of finishing something off. Favorite comic dub I did? Probably the Alistair one, the official Alistair one. I liked that the most because there was a lot to it. Alright, thank you, Laura Pop. Thank you again. Paranoid, why is your music so good? I don't know, that's entirely subjective. If you think it's good, thank you. I can't answer that because it's biased. The first microphone I owned was I worked at an electronics store over here called Maplin at the time. That was my job at the time. And they were selling off this is a meme. They were selling off like snowball mics from Blue Yeti. That was the first one I ever got, and then I changed it to a Rode one not long after. Because I was like, oh, this is fine. I've never had a microphone this cool before. And then I listened to it. I was like, this sounds not really good. So I switched up to something else not long afterwards. Thank you, just another fan. What are your weird Helliverse canons? I don't really have any weird ones. I have things that I think they could capitalize on as an idea, but nothing really crazy. What's your favorite color? Green. Very much green if the stream isn't an indication. What inspired you for Smile Like You Mean It? Just Alistair as a character. I mean, Ed's original... When I wrote that, Ed's original performance in that pilot was just incredible. I wanted to capture the energy that he brought to that. The sort of chaotic of... You know, I'm dangerous, but I'm also going to be really fun and eccentric about it in a way that you can't quite be sure of, and I wanted to capture that in the music, so I thought, oh, I'll center it around him making a deal with someone. That seems to be a good way to do it. Thank you very much. I'm really glad people liked Eyes on Me. I know it's the ending parts of it are very non-canon now, but the whole general vibe of it, I'm still very proud of. I'd probably just retweak a handful of lines to make it better if I was going to redo it to match canon, but the rest of it still holds up well, I think. Are there any indie musicians here on YouTube that you were inspired from or sort of inspire from at times or like to listen to? I don't usually listen to a lot of stuff on YouTube. If people like suggest like a name to me, I'll just search them up and then I'll just buy their music and listen to it outside of that. And there's so many indie musicians out there who do great work. I couldn't name a specific person. Like, I know that I have a decent audience doing what I do, but the fact that there's so many others out there who deserve just as much praise for it is countless. Just basically, if you see someone doing independent music, like, give them a shot, just listen. You thought about covering or making a song for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? I do like JoJo. I'd probably end up making a song for one of the stands, to be honest. I think they're cool. I like the idea of stands. Hey there, first off, love your music. Will there be more Hell of a Has-Been like with Singles original last? Again, I have a Lucifer song that I've almost finished that was in the works. If I get an inspiration for anything else, I'll still do it. I like, just because the full thing's out, it doesn't mean I'm never going to just, alright, I'm never making a thing about this again. If I have a decent enough idea for something, that's what I want to make. I just can't say with any certainty. It probably won't, it's definitely not going to be the only thing I do going forward. As much as I am thankful for everything that Hazbin Hotel did and the stuff that I've made for it and that it still does inspire me in some way, I don't want to be just doing that forever. I want to try other things at the same time, you know? Post-series, by the way. This is after I watched it. Who do I ship? I don't get into shipping conversations. I find shipping culture in anything to be needlessly hostile between people. I have seen some truly abhorrent behavior from certain groups of people towards artists and people in the same fan groups from multiple different worlds. Like, I saw it in How to Train Your Dragon, I've seen it in Mass Effect, I've seen it in definitely the Helliverse. I've even seen it in things you wouldn't think would have shipping discourse, like Bayonetta. To me, like, shipping should be a thing that is done for the fun of fans. Like, it's things for them to enjoy. I don't think that the constant friction and arguments surrounding, like, oh, well, I have this opinion that is better than yours. I don't want to get involved in that. If you like a certain pairing or a ship, then more power to you, but don't do it at the expense for the people. And respect that not everyone will agree with you. That's my take on that. Have you watched Spooky Month on Monkey Wrench? I've seen both. I think they're very enjoyable. Spooky Month just appeals to the, you know, it's palo humor, so... Yeah, Pete, exactly. I do think shipping culture... There's a very unnecessary focus on it. Like, don't get me wrong, there's dynamics between certain characters in everything that I consume that I enjoy and I like. But I would also make sure I would never go out my way if someone disagrees with me. I would say, like, oh, well, you're wrong for this reason. Likewise, I wouldn't want someone to come to me with that attitude, which is why I don't get involved. And I've seen some, like, I think social media made that a lot worse. I think people being so heavily militant about the things they ship, and I'm like, guys, these people aren't even real. Calm down. It doesn't matter. You should be doing this for fun. What's your favorite type of hat? Beanie. How did you meet the people from your voice request video? I just asked them to leave me requests on a Twitter post ages ago, and they all left them there, I think. It was a long time ago. What did you think of Lucifer? My favorite character. I think he was... I empathized a lot with him in terms of how he behaved. He was very fixated on what he liked to the point of kind of being blank to the world, but he also missed things that he used to have, and he was trying his best, but he also couldn't hide the fact that he was jaded by the things he'd experienced, and so it's difficult. And I was like, I like that. It felt relatable. And even by the end when he was doing that, yeah, he sort of made up, but he was very clear is that he still didn't think it was a good idea, but he was going to support Charlie either way. I was like, that's quite good. I liked that. He was to me, he was the best character. How long have you been into music? Probably since I was like a toddler. I've been told stories by my parents, so I used to always drum on everything. So, what was it like to call up with Ed? Ed was a treat. He worked so hard on In My Sights, and I'm really proud of what he did. He sent over multiple different takes, different sections. He worked with, he worked with the voice director that was on the track. Sorry, my mind's going blank. But yeah, like, he worked with, like, an actual vocal coach. He worked with the voice director who was guiding him in terms of staying in character as Stryker as we were going. Dawn, that's... sorry. Don't know why I blanked on him. I'm so sorry, Don. Yes, Don. But yeah, he worked with Don to direct it. I really didn't have to do that much. Occasionally you'll work with someone who, when they send you over takes, and this is also true of everybody, by the way, even really big Broadway singers. And I know this for a fact. Sometimes you will have a take if you have the idea of... Well, if you need to know how this stuff is constructed. When you record a piece of music, the way that you do it is that you record what you need the vocalist to do a lot of times. Like, multiple different takes all at once. Then, you pick and choose the best bits out of all of those takes, and then you stitch them together like a Frankenstein, and that's how it all sounds perfect. I've had to do it with every single person I've ever worked with. I've had to do it with Bryce. I've had to do it to myself. That's how I record stuff. So yeah, you'll occasionally get takes through that sound rough. But in a lot of his, Ed was really spot on. Like, he practiced for a very long time. You know, music is not something he's done a lot of. And... it was something he really wanted to try his best on, and he really did. He went above and beyond to make it work, and he was just really good at it. So, please, if you ever have a chance and you hear him say something that he can't sing, or that he's not a singer by trade, please just say that I've given you permission to scold him for saying that, because he's so good. Also, hello! Thanks, Jalen. Yeah, I was very inspired by Gaga for Signals, that sort of 2010s-ish kind of pop sound for that. I thought that would suit it really good. Did you self-learn music or did you finish school? I have a degree in music production. I went to university for it. Before that, I also have qualifications in music technology and music itself. So yeah, I self-taught myself for a while, and then I got actual education for it, so I do have like an actual degree in producing music, both computer composition, recording, live sound, all that stuff. Have you watched the Evil Dead franchise? I have! It's very good. Evil Dead Rise was so good. I think it's probably my favorite out of all of them. It's that right mixture of campy and genuine horror. Thank you very much, Hannah. I tried my best. Have you listened or heard of Alan Walker before? The name is very familiar. It'll be one of those things where if I listen to them, I'll probably know exactly who they are, but names alone are usually bad for me. My memory's terrible. Nifty fan song when? If I have an idea and also someone, I can work with someone who can sound like Nifty. Maybe. Thoughts on Adam versus Alistair? It was nice to see Alistair get humbled. Not gonna lie, it was nice to see him just kind of get beat a little bit. It's like, fuck you. Have you seen Part 6 Stone Ocean? I have! I really liked Stone Ocean. I think the manga of it is better than the anime, but they still did the best they could for the adaptation. A lot of great moments were still left intact. Will you be taking voice requests in this live stream? Probably not. I've been speaking now for over an hour and a half. My voice is already starting to feel the strain. Do I work for VivziePop? No, I am not an official member of Spindlehorse or the team. I was licensed as a contractor. They basically said, well, a deal for you where we can use your music in the show in this way. It was like a single one-time deal. If they want to work with me again, they're more than welcome to, but it would have to be something they'd have to ask me about again. I'm not an official member of the team. Don't you quote Epcot here. Don't you do that. Don't make me feel things. And really, Steel Ball Run is going to be that soon? No, that can't be right, surely. Like, Steel Ball Run's gonna be wild. No, I did not sell my soul to VivziePop with a handshake. I mean, if she could have pulled that off from across an ocean, I would have been very impressed. Then again, if I'm gonna go to level up, then maybe that'll happen then. Who knows? I'll be like, hey, I'm the guy who did that song. if you could redo your work, would you? I'd probably retool like a handful of lines and stuff, but overall, probably not. I like what I made. Obviously, you look back at things you made years ago and you think, I could do so much better now. But I try not to think of older work I've done as that. I think of it, okay, so that was when I was learning, and this is when I was doing this. And the fact I can do better than that now is a sign of how much better I've become. What do your friends, family think about your work and the fact you're able to make a living off it? I think they're just kind of surprised in the exact same vein that I am. I'd never thought I would be able to do all this for a living. This is doing all of this for like the last couple of years has literally paid all my bills. So, you know, it's kind of wild that I'm at this situation where I can do that, and I hope I can keep doing it. When did you and Psychorite officially become a team? I wouldn't say we're a team. We're just good friends, and we work with each other very easily. Like, we know each other's strengths and weaknesses when it comes to doing certain aspects of music, and also with their keen for like artistic detail and all this other stuff. So we just find it easy to work with each other. Was Spindlehorse specific about what about your work caught their attention? I'd have to fish out the original message, but the thing that VivsyPop said to me was that she'd listened to some of the songs that I'd made, and she really liked a lot of how they sounded. And then she just followed it up with, would you be interested in licensing some of your music to be used in the show somehow? I don't think it ever went more specific than that, or at least if it did, I can't remember. I'd have to check, but you know, it's just a case of we've heard it and we like it. Do you want to work with us? And I was like, cool. Oh, on Liquid Gold, Michael sang that alongside Belle and Lisa, who were the voices of. Sorry, I have to fully admit I am running on like 3 hours of sleep, so things are forgetting me. But Belle and Lisa are also in the pilot cast, and they sang in the choruses. But I did not sing in that. I just wrote the music and everything. Who's the next character to get a song? Next character is probably going to be Lucifer, but I've got something else coming up beforehand that's not fan-related before that happens. Any specific TV show soundtracks you take inspiration from? Oof. That's a good question. TV soundtracks. The Newton Brothers, for like Haunting of Hill House level motifs. The thing is, I don't watch a lot of TV, so I can't name a TV soundtrack. Chernobyl probably would be another one. Favorite track from the Silent Hill franchise? Alright, this track I like from Silent Hill the most was never on the official soundtrack, but it is in the game. It was the final fight with Mary at the end of Silent Hill 2. It never got an official release. It's only been re-released from people who've dug into the archives and assembled it from the game itself, and they dubbed it Violent Maria. I really like that song just because it's chaotic and it encompasses all the horror aspects of Silent Hill very well. Lots of really great looping sound design and stuff. I'll probably go for like another 20 minutes or so. That'll make it like a good 2 hours. Yeah, my voice is really starting to feel sore now. I haven't spoken this much at length in a very long time. It hasn't. Do you like the more grand pieces, like you didn't know, our personal songs? The personal ones, more than anything, was the best one. Are we getting a Blitz song anytime soon? Again, Blitz is one of those voices I can't do. But if I have an idea and I know someone who can do it, never say never. Yeah, if you want to message me about something, then you can send it via Twitter. I might not always see it straight away because Twitter's really bad about that, like notifying me. Like I'll have to open up the message tab itself, and then it'll say, "Oh, you got a new message," but it won't alert me ahead of time. But that's fine. Do you have any tips for aspiring VAs? Again, I'm not a professional voice actor by any means. I'm a musician first and foremost, but my advice would be focus on the acting more than anything else. If you can't act the lines, it doesn't matter what you can do with your voice. So get people who can get out the right emotions and the right intent behind what you want them to say. Joe Bullet, I'm assuming you're referring to the really old hell of a dub I did a long time ago. Yeah, that was fun. I think the person who made that now actually works at Spindle, so that was fun. Are you going to write more for Lackadaisy, or was it a one-time thing? Again, if Lackadaisy gives me a good idea to write about, I would love to do more for them. They were a really nice bunch of people to talk to, and to get to be a part of in an official capacity like that. They were very open, they were very encouraging about that sort of thing. Also very, very professional, which I also really appreciated. So yeah, maybe. I feel like a lot of these questions I've been answering are just maybe, because I can never say with any certainty about what I'm going to do next. The favourite song you've produced so far? Yeah, I did say it earlier, but it's for different reasons. I'm proud of things like Just Look My Way for having guessed the intention right, and obviously to the point of being made canon, but in terms of what I've made in general, I'm very proud of the things that I think got the characters right, which would be Use Me Up, Promise on My Soul, and Blood Runs Thicker. Because they were very specific, very different songs, all of them. And I'm proud of how I've approached those. Random question, what's your favourite way to have egg scrambled? Are we going to get a follow-up to the Ringleader? It's funny, people have been asking for, like, sequels to things I've done already, and maybe. The thing is with a lot of things that when I initially write their songs, they can only be written based off what information we know at the time. And I wrote Ringleader during a time when we didn't know any of Fizz's struggles or any of him potentially making up with Blitz or anything. So even on that front, that's kind of out of date now. I can only write things as far as how much information I have. It's the danger you play when you try and write fan music for something that's in progress. What did you do before the Hazbin Hotel videos? I used to, this was when I was still in like secondary school and education, I was uploading random videos of trying to recreate instrumentals and do remixes and stuff, just for fun, like any person on YouTube would do, just to see what would happen. It really wasn't until Hazbin that people started paying attention. Heavenly version of my machine. What would that even sound like? Because he can't be a conqueror, and he can't do like all the things he wants to say he's gonna do. Who's your favourite character from Lackadaisy? It's a toss-up between Rocky and Mordecai, because they're such polar opposites. I mean, Rocky's just fun, because of how crazy he is, but I do like how non-nonsense Mordecai is. You a fan of Aphex Twin? I do like Aphex Twin. He's very out there, but he's very good. How'd you get Ed Bosco to sing a Striker and other plans on making it canon like Just Slip My Way? I asked Ed if he'd be interested through contacting him via some other people. He said yes, and we worked on it from there. I just thought I'd ask the question, and he said yes to it, and he was very, very good at it. In terms of making it canon, that's not up to me. If anyone wants, like, if they ever want to do another song of mine that they want to use in some way, then that would be entirely up to them. And honestly, even if that was the case, I wouldn't be able to say so anyway, because that's why NDAs exist. Like, I had to keep the lid on Just Look My Way for well over a year. Like, I couldn't, you know, I had to say, like, oh, it'd be so weird, like, because people would ask me, like, what would you do if they did this? And I'd be like, oh, I don't know. And yet in the back of my head, I was like, well, they've already asked, though, and I can't say it. I appreciate that, Dragon Boy. What's your favorite TV show? I used to really like early seasons of Doctor Who. I really like Chernobyl. Anything that Mike Flanagan's directed over like the last 4 years, I think he's been fantastic at. So like Midnight Mass and Fall of House of Usher. Have you watched Wonka? I have not. What's your favorite character from the Hell of a Boss or Hazbin Hotel universe? For Hazbin, it's Lucifer. For Helliver, it's a tie between Fizz and Moxie. Grim. Yeah, Grim from Hollow Knight. I'd like to do a song about him, because he's got a very interesting story. Any movies you're looking forward to that come out this year? I don't know what's coming out this year. I genuinely haven't looked. Favorite dessert? Probably any kind of ice cream if I have to nail down a specific thing. And thank you, Marcus. Yeah, My Machine was fun. Just because doing the whole instrumental drum things, I got a brand new library for that called Damage, which was just all these distorted, all these distorted, like, crunchy percussion metal noises. I get to put that all in. It's like, that'll sound fun. Yes, it is. Mint chip is superior. Favorite game genre? Either horror or third-person action. What do I think of Vox? Second favorite character in the show. I think he was very, very fun to watch. Like, expertly performed. Really charismatic, but also, like, just not taking shit. Except in very specific things that get under his skin. I always thought that was fun. Have you ever had any song ideas that you ended up not using or changing your mind on? Oh, there's plenty of that. There's been a handful of songs where I started making them and I was like, nah, this isn't working. But that doesn't mean I can't make them work in future. There's a lot of projects that are sat on my drives that are like, this doesn't work right now, but I'll come back to it later and we'll see what happens. And there's one particular thing I've got an idea where I originally had written it for one thing, and now I think about it and think maybe it'll work. This particular sound will work better for this thing instead. So I'm always, I don't like just putting things to waste. So there's not anything I've outright scrapped entirely, but there have been things that I've started on and think, nah, this isn't working. I'll come back to this later. How old is Bean? I got Bean about, well, it will be about 6 years ago in about a couple of weeks, because I got her as a birthday thing, and when she was very, very wee babby, she was very small. She's grown a lot since then. She's now a big bean, or like a sausage. I'd say she's about 6 now, if I had to guess. I don't specifically know how old she was when I first got her, but she was very, very young. Bean is my leopard gecko. Beautiful. Thank you very much, Streamer Pond. I hope people like what I'm doing out next, because occasionally I have these things where I'll release a song and I'm like, I really hope people like this one, because I really don't know. So there's always a level of uncertainty that comes out when I make things. But, what did you think of Carmilla? I think she was fun. I just wish she was kind of a bit more prominent. As I said earlier, I think the biggest issue I had with Hazbin is that just too much happened too quickly. I hope for Season 2 they slow things down a bit. That's all I really ask. Scott the Wars or Cad Icarus? I've only ever watched Cad Icarus, so I'll choose him. Have you gotten any compliments from character VAs in your interpretations in songs? I mean, I'm privileged to say that I know a lot of the VAs from the pilot days now, for things other than that, and I've had comments. I remember not long on. Well, it was a very long time ago before he disappeared from YouTube. I remember Stamper did leave a comment on the Pentious song, which was a bit wild to see. But yeah, if the subject of my music ever comes up and it's something related to something that maybe one of them has done, they've been very nice about it. They're all lovely people. Out of all the characters you've sang as, which was the most challenging and which one was the easiest? The Husk song was the most challenging, because that voice is, well, the pilot era Husk, that voice is definitely not my normal manner of speaking in any way, so I have to warm up to that and make it work as best I can. The one that's easiest would either be Angel or Alistair, because both of their voices are more in my normal range. Or Ralsei, actually, because my interpretation of his voice is just me, but a little bit more higher pitched, so... Yeah, probably Ralsei actually would say the easiest, because I didn't have to do much for him. I didn't have to put on an accent or anything. I'd say Ralsei. Thank you very much, Matthias. Patreon's never crossed my mind. Right now, people just supporting the songs as much as they have been doing has been more than enough to keep me going on that front. Fizz wasn't as hard as you think, because again, Fizz's pitch was normal. The only thing that strained it was the gremlin energy. I mean, I can't do it now because my throat's too sore. But the manic sort of growl that Alex gives his voice, that was something that was difficult. But for that, you do it in bits. You do it in bits and pieces. So it's like you would go to it, you would record like a bit of verse 1, then you come back to it and do the rest of it later after you've given a chance to rest or you drank, and then it would be fine. Thank you, Ninja. Now, it's... I mean, in terms of wrapping up here soonish, it is very wild to think I'm in this position now, where, fan-based or not, a lot of people really have liked what I've done. And I really am thankful for that. I'm always going to be thankful to the point I'm just going to be spewing this forever. But it's just wild, because it's one of those things that I never thought I'd have a chance to do. I've always been passionate about music. I've always been passionate about wanting to make things. But I never thought I'd be here where I can make things that resonate with a lot of people, and... you know, it has an impact in the broader things. Certainly not to the level of, by the way, you're now part of the thing you started making fan stuff to, in a way. I was like, that alone is just crazy. You're all too nice. Alright, got about 5 minutes left. If you've got any burning questions. Last chance. And again, thank you all for all the nice things you're all saying. I can't keep up with it sometimes, but it all really does mean a lot. Who's your favourite Sin outside Lucifer? I mean, probably going to be Ozzy. He's just nice. And we haven't seen most of the other ones yet, so who knows. I do like Mammon, though. Why do you need to ask that, Mr. Kovac? Why? I want to send you a package in the mail. I promise it is not explosive. Have you seen Smiling Friends? Yes, Smiling Friends is genius, and I love everything about it. Go watch it. Have you seen Danganronpa? I have not. You wanted my burning questions. Is a package in the mail like that a burning question, really? Would you call that, like, oh, sorry, I bought you a question, it's coming in the post next week. Would you really say that? Where were you on the night of February 30th, 0 AD? Nowhere. Michael became Jax. Yeah, where do you think the inspiration for Jax came from? This is just how he is. Can we look back at this stream on YouTube? Yeah, it should automatically archive it if I've set it up right. I hope. I just hope they don't copyright this copyright-free music like they did last time, because that was absurd. I'll answer two at once here. Are we going to do either another Alistair song or a Mammon song? Again, if I have an idea to do it and I think it would make sense to do one, then sure. I just can't say with any certainty. Thank you very much, Ashley Play. Yeah, especially the original that's coming out next month. I know I've said this like about 4 times so far, but I really am genuinely proud of it. It's like a big risk. Well, not really a risk, but it's a big sort of like step to take, where it's like I'm going from making things based on what other people like to now I'm just doing a song that is only me, and it's only me that, and obviously Michael's efforts that will carry that, and I just really hope people like it. And you'll find out, it'll be about 2 weeks, hopefully. Then we'll be ready. But I think it'll be nice. Burning question, audio setup. It's nothing complex. Right now I use a Rode NT1 going through a Minifuse 1 sound interface. And that's it. I don't have anything special. It's like a pop shield and some minor soundproofing, but nothing crazy. Bugs were a sound I'd scream into the mic. Don't do that, you'll break your mic. Yeah, don't scream directly into your mic unless you turn your input gain down, because then you'll just break your microphone. Least favourite Helliver, probably Unhappy Campers. I don't think that's a crazy opinion to have. Don't really like that one a lot. I'll try my I'll do my best, Carlos. It's gonna be wild, but we'll get there. Oh, I'm not going to bed yet. This is just how it is. But I do think we're coming up close to the end here. It's about 2 hours worth of talking. Gonna drink a lot of water after this. But it was fun. It was nice to do this again, actually. Especially to explain the process a bit more, because I know that people are asking questions a lot about how Just Slip My Way came about and all the things like that, so it was nice to kind of explain how that happened. Especially with the amount of time that goes into making these things, that most people don't realize how early this had to be all done. Yeah, final reiteration for Triangle, just to wrap this up. Next couple of songs, I have a pure original coming out this month, because we're now in March, with Michael on vocals, Michael Kovac, who did wonderfully. It's pure original song. It's not fandom based. It's not based on anything. It's just something I really wanted to do. There are at least 2 other projects that I've contributed sound design and music to that are still in the works, but they should be out roughly soonish. Personally, if you're wanting more Hell content, I have written a new original Lucifer song per series. We'll see if that goes. Anything else I don't know yet. We'll see. I also want to expand and do songs on other things, such as more horror-related stuff, anything that gets my attention, so it's not just only Hell stuff. I hope I can keep going on that ride. It's fun to be able to do this. And I hope I can keep doing it for a very long time. So thank you all so much for being here. I'll call it there for now. Keep an eye out. I'll be posting about this original song soonish in the next couple of weeks. We're just waiting on the video to be finished. Everything else is ready for it. I really hope you all like it. It's going to be fun. And yeah, thank you all for being here. It was a blast. So, take care, people. I won't end it on something fucking cheesy, but although I was really tempted to. It's like, oh, I'll quote one of my songs in one of those creepy like, comment, and subscribe ways. I'm not gonna do that. Bye-bye.